Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Trustees meeting, the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, December 14. If you're watching live Monday, December 14, we invite you to call in at any time with questions or comments. The number is 769-1677. And as I always do, I remind you, you can watch either on cable TV or live on the web at pctv76.org. Our next work session is a week from today, Monday, December 21 at 7 p.m. And our next regular meeting is Monday, December 28 at 8 p.m. with a work session beginning at 7. A couple of things to report, and one of them is if you look around the village, you will see we are now festooned with lights and greenery, almost all of it the work of the Beautification Committee. Kathy Dinkle and her crew have been out decorating the downtown and I think have done a fabulous job, as they do every season, but it looks particularly good this year. In addition to that, we've gotten a lot of positive comments on the lighting of the tree at the corner of Manville and Edgewood. It looks great this year, due in part, I think, according to Mike Ferguson, that we borrowed Briarcliff's bucket truck and used it along with ours. So nothing like two bucket trucks, one on either side of the tree, to produce a great result. So a number of people have commented, and I think it's well deserved.
We didn't throw the lights up this year.
How many bucket trucks does it take to?
It took two. Plus they're new, what
Don't
are
start
they?
those DPW jokes.
I'm not gonna go
What type of
there.
lights are they? They're not.
LED lights.
The,
So
LED lights.
At any rate,
They use no electricity.
all joking aside, the guys at DPW, particularly Mike Ferguson, who's one of the key, and Ian, I guess,
Yeah, they
who
do.
one of the key players in decorating the tree, have done a great job. So thanks to them, and also thanks to Kathy Dinkle and all the people on beautification who are out there when the rest of us are doing something else, contributing to making the village look great. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that last Monday at this time, instead of having a meeting, we gathered at the Country Club and had our annual Volunteers in Pleasantville dinner for members of boards and commissions, and it's an occasion annually where we stop the presses for a little while and have an opportunity to enjoy an evening and thank the people who contribute so much to the village. And it is, I think, a remarkable testament to the number of people who care about this place that there are 70 or 80 people who attend that event, and probably another 50 or 60 who would love to be there but are otherwise engaged. So there are a core of people out there working on planning and zoning and architecture review board and conservation advisory and the whole list of boards and committees, and we say thank you to all of them. Don't get enough opportunities to do it. Am I correct, Mindy? There is one more week of the farm market?
Yes.
Should be
This is,
Saturday.
yes, it's
There's
this
one
weekend,
more.
right.
Right, so
Okay,
this is the week, this weekend is the final weekend of the farm
Dates
market.
are all mixed up.
We encourage you to get out there and support the farm market. I think some of the vendors may be going into a winter schedule. You can ask them what's going on, but it's been an extremely successful year. I think maybe the best yet, which is pretty good news because it's been pretty good in the last several years. So thanks to all the vendors and thanks to all of you for supporting it.
Was it not possible for that winter mode to happen in Pleasantville?
The
well-
indoor,
Right.
no.
Really?
It's a short answer, is no. We opted out of that for a number of reasons. But, we're very successful in that June through mid-December time period. And there's really not a lot that you can, some of our vendors go into a co-op where you come on Saturday anyway, and they're there with, they have the bundle of whatever they grow in their greenhouse during the winter. But if you look at what's out there, there's really, come the winter, there's really not a lot of product other than what they're doing in their
Right.
greenhouse that they're doing in their co-op anyway. So a lot of the farmers don't participate in that. So.
Other thing I wanted to mention, the weather didn't cooperate particularly well yesterday, but yesterday was the annual fire department children's party, and the firehouse was decked out in its holiday finery, and Tom Langen, former chair of the Board of Fire Commissioners, was the driver for Santa Claus in the fire truck from Hayes Hose down to the main headquarters. So a good day was had by all, and thank you, Tom, for fulfilling that important role, waiting for the arrival of Santa from the North Pole. Anybody else have anything to say? We have a guest tonight here. Judith McCarthy is involved in intergovernmental affairs. She'll correct me if I've gotten this wrong. For the Lower Hudson region, the Office of Attorney General Andrew Cuomo. Delighted to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
introduce to us what goes on.
You're partially correct in my title. I do work with intergovernmental affairs, which was what brings me out here tonight. But my role is I run the Attorney General Andrew Cuomo's Westchester Regional Office. And the Westchester Regional Office is located in White Plains and covers Westchester, Rockland, and Putnam counties. And the Attorney General has asked the regional offices to go out and talk to the community and essentially introduce ourselves, our office, and what we can do so that you and your constituents and then the residents of Pleasantville will be able to know how we can help them, if we can help them. We have about 13 regional offices statewide. As I said, Westchester is Westchester, Rockland, and Putnam counties. And in 2008, I don't have the 2000 numbers yet, but in 2008, we handled over 1,700 consumer complaints from residents from all over the three counties, and we got back over $500,000 in restitution for them. And what those complaints are from as little as I didn't get my rent deposit check back to I bought a product at a store and they didn't deliver it. So a lot of you know what the Attorney General does from the press releases and the news cases and the big cases. The regional office really has three jobs. Its job is it defends the state of New York in lawsuits that are brought against the state of New York. So if there is a state highway or SUNY Purchase, for instance, is in Westchester County. We have 3 prisons in Westchester County. If there's any suit that's brought against any of those entities, my office will defend them in that civil suit that's brought. We also bring affirmative cases. And that's where our mediation comes in, because we have a component of the affirmative cases is our mediation unit. And the mediation unit is what handles 1,700 complaints. And what we look at as the attorneys in the office is for a pattern in practice. Because the Attorney General cannot represent an individual, but they can represent the people of the state of New York when they see a pattern in practice, when a company is defrauding them or, false advertising or various things like that. For instance, last year, a lot of consumers in Westchester County complained when Fortunoff went bankrupt. And then the liquidators came in and stopped honoring the gift cards. We got a lot of complaints about that because people had gift cards. And so we had a specialist in the Attorney General's office who specializes in bankruptcy, and she went into bankruptcy court and got the liquidators to agree to honor the gift cards for a period of time. So then there was several weeks where then the gift cards could then be honored. When that came out, we started getting additional complaints after that where Fortunoff actually had the product that they had purchased. It was scheduled for delivery, but the liquidators canceled the delivery. And so we went back into federal court, into bankruptcy court, and negotiated with the liquidators so that any product that had been purchased and paid in full and was actually present, they had it in their stock, that had to be delivered. We couldn't have done that if consumers hadn't complained to us. So some consumers may feel like, there's nothing you can do for me, but once we see a pattern, there might be something we can do for them. Maybe that first consumer that called in with that gift card complaint, there really was nothing we could do for them, because once the liquidators come in, they weren't going to be negotiating with my mediators. But once we saw the pattern and we could get an attorney to go on under the jurisdiction of the Attorney General's office, then we can make a difference. So that's one of the reasons why I like to come out, is because a lot of people don't understand what we can do for just the common citizen that's walking around the streets. And we can try to do a lot for them. We're not always successful, and we're not always the right person. And if we're not, I have a staff that will try to direct them to the right people or give them information they need in order to help themselves. And then there are some cases where really they have to, in order to get the result they need, they're going to have to retain an attorney. But we try to be very responsive in telling them what we can do to help. If we can't help, is there another government agency that can help? For instance, we have a very strong Department of Consumer Protections here in Westchester County. A lot of the times, if there are contractor issues and stuff like that, given the licensing laws we have, we'll refer those to the Westchester County Department of Consumer Protection. And but we're always looking for complaints, because although I may not be able to help you today, you know, if I get that complaint a few weeks down the line, a second one, then we'll start looking into it, and there's oftentimes something we can do. But given the fact that I do have the opportunity to have a live audience, and it is the holiday season, if you don't mind indulging me for a moment, I'd like to talk a little bit about gift cards, because I know a lot of people are going to be buying gift cards for this holiday season. And we strongly recommend anybody who receives a gift card to use it. Because you don't know in this economy when that company might go bankrupt. No one knew that Fortune Off was going to go bankrupt when it did, and people were holding a lot of gift cards. So we encourage you, you get your gift card, don't put it in, you know, your desk and, you know, forget about it. Use it. We also encourage you to use it because we do find that a lot of people lose it if they put it away and forget they ever have it. And there are some gift cards that after a certain period of time will have administrative fees combined, so the gift card may be worth less if you wait longer. But we've also, there's a couple of things we've seen happen recently where there are some scams, and so I want to generally tell people to avoid a few things. Don't buy gift cards from online auction sites. There are actually like eBay and other sources that will sell gift cards, and you'll think you're getting a $50 gift card and you're only paying $25 to it. Some of them may be perfectly legitimate. Others you're going to find there's no value on the card, or the card was going to immediately expire, so that by the time you got around to using it, it had expired. It's not worth the risk. Only buy the gift cards directly from the store issuing the gift card or from a secure retailer's website. That way you can be sure that it's legitimate and not a fraud. Always, and this is something I tell people, and when I tell them, they kind of look at me not realizing that they should do it. Whenever you go to buy a gift card, even if you're buying it from the store you're going to, like a Target or something like that, and you're buying their retail gift card, turn it over and examine the front and back. You're going to notice on the back that there's an area that usually says scratch off, and it's usually covered, and you can't see the numbers under that. That scratch off is what you can use when you want to buy online, and you'll need that security PIN code. Well, if someone's already scratched it off, do not purchase that gift card, because what may have happened is someone may have come in and stolen that PIN number and are really just waiting for you to activate the card, and then they go and use it online. And therefore, when you give this gift card as a gift, there may be nothing on it because someone has been watching that number and waiting for someone to activate it, and as soon as it did, they spent the money. And it's very difficult to track down who does it and how this is done, so it's really worthwhile to check. It's very simple, just turn it over and make sure that PIN code is not being, scratched off or being shown. Always keep your receipt as proof of purchase as long as there's money stored on the gift cards. Many retailers can track where the gift card was purchased, activated, and used. So if the card's stolen, some retailers have the ability to, be able to refund it or help you out there. And finally, when you're getting a gift card, never use your social security number, date of birth, or any other unneeded private information when you purchase a gift card. If someone's asking you for that, they don't need it. If it's a true gift card, they don't need it. There are some cards that you can add on money to that are really bank cards, like a Green Dot savings card, which you can put money on and then keep loading it up. Those are sponsored by banks. Those do need social security numbers, but an average gift card from a local retailer does not need any private information in order for them to activate it, and we recommend that no one gives that information in order to protect their identity. So there's a few things when you're buying gift cards that we would like consumers to be aware of to protect themselves and whoever the recipient of their gift is. So I know you have a longer agenda. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I will ask you if you have any questions that I can answer before I go. And also, thank you very much. We do appreciate the fact that you've given me the opportunity to come and introduce my office to you and to the residents of Pleasantville.
Happy to have you here, and happy to hear about your services. Is it legal for gift cards to expire?
Some of them, yeah. Well, they don't really expire. What ends up happening is they have administrative fees that can be taken off, so they'll end up coming down to a zero balance. But there are some cards that are given that do have expiration dates on it, and it really depends on the term of the card. Like if some people give promotional cards rather than rebate checks, they have expiration dates on it. As long as that has been told up front, That's usually legitimate. Most gift cards don't have expiration dates, but they do, after a year, have administrative fees. And sometimes they're done monthly, sometimes they're done quarterly, and they're usually for non-use. And they can get down to
The high cost of
zero.
accounting for holding onto your money.
Which is why we recommend using your gift card, because if you use it promptly, you're going to get the full value of
Gift
it.
cards are teenage daughters. It's my experience. I don't have boys, maybe boys too, but
Yeah.
they burn through their gift cards. My daughters burn through their gift cards in seconds.
So it's a perfect gift for a
It
teenage
is-
daughter.
you know?
Depends on, yeah, the boys don't.
I have sons, and I
Yeah.
sometimes every once in a while will open up their drawer,
Yeah,
and
you find
they're
them all
sitting
in
all there,
there.
and I'm like, how old are these?
Yeah,
Right.
I know, I have the same thing.
My daughter's no issue.
And then the
They
other
have little
problem,
purses and storage, and it's when we go to the mall, I've got $7 left on my gift card. How do you know that?
well, that's the other thing. I think if
When
I
you go
ask my
online,
children, they
yeah.
cannot tell you at all what is left on their
Well,
gift
maybe your
card.
children could sell their cards on eBay to Jonathan's daughters.
They do better.
I do have a question. I had an opportunity to deal with your area a couple of years ago. When do they? But I was directed to Albany. When do they approach the White Plains office versus going up to Albany?
It really depends on what the issue is. If it's really truly local and a local business and the mediation's going to happen locally, it'll be my office. However, there are specialty issues that we don't deal with, such as healthcare. If it's a healthcare complaint, we have a healthcare bureau with healthcare advocates in Albany that are specially trained to deal with the issues that come up with healthcare. So we'll defer those to Albany. If it's a business that there's a lot of complaints coming from that business and another regional office is handling it already, we'll send it to that regional office. If it has like disability rights issues or civil rights issues, we'll send that down to New York City, and that'll be handled by the Civil Rights Bureau. So it really depends on if it's a really specialized problem, we'll find the specialist in our office that can handle them. If it's really a local garden variety case, we'll handle them locally.
And you guys get, I mean, because the roadmap towards ending up in your office seems to be windy with lots of different curves, and my own opinion is, it seems like your office is reactionary, and it's not a complaint, it's just that I don't know of anybody that would ever think to go to the Attorney General's office in White Plains for a small claims issue that they might have against a retailer. They might go to their attorney, it may surface to the level of media, and then you guys hear about it and get involved. What is the roadmap? I mean, what's the thought process people have to think about to involve you guys? Because I mean, it would never occur to me to reach out and do the paperwork or whatever.
Which is why I'm here to kind of give you the roadmap. Small claims complaints, true small claims complaints, would end up having to go through small claims court, and we're not involved. And if it's already in litigation, we don't get involved, because then there's perfectly qualified people to help the interest of that consumer. But who comes to us? I mean, at least 1,700 people came to us last year, and they know to come to us. Oftentimes we get people who are frustrated and they have gone wherever they think, everywhere they think they can, and no one's helped them, and they'll come to us, or someone's told them, go to the Attorney General's office, and they'll try to mediate that. And we do try to mediate a lot. For instance, we get a lot of complaints if it's a business here. For instance, we have a few subscription businesses. We'll get complaints regarding those, and we'll work with them on, I didn't order the subscription and I got it. And they'll call my local number, 91, and I'll give you the number right now. It's 914-422-8755. That's the Westchester Regional Office, and you'll be hooked up with someone in my mediation unit, the consumer unit, and they'll either try to answer it then, and they'll often say, we really do need complaints, because it's hard for us to really mediate anything without getting either the documentation that the consumer has or the complaint in writing. So then we'll send out a complaint form to them and encourage it. If it's an emergency and they really need to, there's times of the essence, we'll sometimes take complaints over the phone, start working on it, but still send out the complaint form to the consumer. And then when they send it back, that's when we'll assign someone who can work with the unit and mediate it. And we have volunteers that answer the phones and try to give general information that have been volunteering now for, over a decade, many of them, and now know a lot of where to direct people. So sometimes what happens when you call the Attorney General's office and you call New York City or Albany, you can, it may take you a few steps before you get to the local office. And if you come to us, we definitely try to direct you in the right place rather promptly and quickly.
Does the office still offer opinions on ethical questions and conflict of interest questions? Is that directed to the Albany office?
It's mostly the Albany Appeals and Opinions does that, and it's really, those types of opinions can only be given to localities.
Right.
For instance, if a consumer had an opinion about, wanted to have an opinion about something that's some government agency was doing, we don't do that under consumer complaints, but we do give both informal and formal depending on the nature of it opinions, and that does come out of our appeals and opinions, and it's either Albany or New York City.
And does the Attorney General's office have a website where people can track issues? I mean, you see relatively high-profile matters, press releases issued, et cetera, and sometimes I realize it was a subject of some interest to me, and I don't know whatever happened.
Right, and we do keep our press releases are on our website in the media center. And the website, if you type in Google anywhere, Attorney General Andrew Cuomo, you're going to come up with his website. But the website is www.oag.state.ny.us. And I'll do that again. It's
Okay.
OAG stands for Office of Attorney General, so oag.state, STATE.ny.us. Little winded, but that's why some people are just, it's sometimes faster just to type in the Attorney General Andrew Cuomo's name and it'll come up to his website. And there you'll have all the press releases that have been issued historically. They'll go back many, many years, sometime even before this administration will be on there. So you can go back and look and see what's happened, and you can search that also.
So you would have to say that you're basically only consumer complaints? Is that what I heard you just say? That's what this is?
Yes. The office does a variety of things. The Defense of the State of New York, we bring actions on behalf of consumers that have usually generated out of complaints against businesses. But what mostly we do is consumer complaints. Sometimes we have business complaints, but oftentimes it really depends on the nature of them, whether we'll get involved, because businesses can usually represent themselves. But New York, basic, New Yorkers might have problems when they come up against a business who's just not helping them, or a health insurance company. For instance, our Health Care Advocates Bureau, there's advocates there that, when you keep getting your fifth, you owe me this copay, and you've paid the copay the day you were there, and now you've sent, 5 letters back showing your receipt, and they're still asking you for the copay. We don't want consumers to give up, but we don't want them to just say, I'll pay the $20 and get them off my back. We want them to call us, and we'll connect them with our healthcare advocates, and they're going to try to help them negotiate that so they can get this provider off them. So it's really, we do look at business to business, but most businesses can handle their own issues, while a lot of consumers, when they're going up against businesses and the amount of money is nominal, really need some assistance, and that's where we're there to help them.
So what is the level of complaints that rise above your radar, where you actually look at it? I mean, fortune off is easy, lots of people. What about a contractor that has done 15 houses and goes bust, and he's left 15 people in the lurch? I mean, are you going to take, we can find 5 or 6 of them to all make a complaint to you guys. Do you guys even bother with that? I mean, that's something you do?
Well, the contractor complaints are usually handled by the county because there's licensing laws. So we'll refer most of the contractors over there. When
Or
it gets
some small business, that...
Well, for instance, I'll give you an example of one that you might think is, kind of small, and what are we doing, spending any time with. There was a health club in Putnam Valley called New Carmel Health and Fitness Club that went out of business last February, and the owner went bankrupt and locked the doors unexpectedly and without any warning. Having taken from consumers the deposit or their renewals, and they were out then, just the week before, and they're out the full amount of money. Health clubs have to be bonded in the state of New York. We opened up an investigation. We started getting some complaints. We opened up an investigation. That health club was not bonded as required. So we were going to commence, we did open an investigation. We subpoenaed the testimony, and we settled that matter, and we're now trying to get back to consumers a portion. It's not going to be dollar for dollar because there was no money in the business. And so we're trying to get a portion of the money back so consumers aren't out everything. So that's a type of case that we've dealt with. Locally here, in North Castle, there was property called the DuBose property, and it was handled by, there was a not-for-profit that owned it and tried to sell it to a big developer. We review all not-for-profits, and we realized that under the actual gift instrument, when the property was purchased in the 1970s, originally with the money that was got, it was restricted, so we litigated that in court. That money, that property is now being left as open space, and I think Mount Kisco and North Castle have agreed to purchase it and keep it as open space. So we'll do a lot of the local stuff too. But it is, we do look at cases, and we'll look at kind of where we're getting the most, because we have resource issues, and we always have to decide, where are the most complaints coming from, and what's going to make the most impact for the residents. So if we just have a small business and it's just, a handful of complaints, we're going to try to mediate that over actually commencing an investigation.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
you.
That's great.
Thank you, and happy holidays to everyone.
Likewise to you. We now know more, as do our constituents, know more about the Office of the Attorney General of White Plains.
Great,
Thanks
thank you
for
very
coming.
much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Nice to meet you.
And if you ever any unused gift cards that you need, I have a little factory of spenders.
I had one other announcement I wanted to make before we start. We have a public hearing tonight, and that is that last week a son of Pleasantville, Sal Rubino, was inducted into the Westchester County Senior Citizen Hall of Fame, and that is
That's great.
a major honor. I think Sal lives just over the village line, but his roots go deep in the village of Pleasantville, not only his own roots, but those of his family. So it was a proud day for Pleasantville, and one of those days of which there have been many over many decades when Sal has made the town proud of him. So congratulations to Sal Rubino.
Sorry.
You're bundling up.
It's
Look,
freezing
what are you
in
doing down
there. It's cold.
Your village government turning down the thermostat in an
Yes,
effort
we're
to be
saving money
in an
and
effort to be
freezing our
cost
trustees
effective.
out. And our village clerk, and she's got her scarf wrapped around her neck.
Do we have a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing regarding local law amending Chapter 173 Vehicles and Traffic regarding prohibiting parking certain hours on Westcora Avenue?
So,
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is a continuation of a discussion we've been having for several sessions over a period of months. A number of residents on Westcora Avenue, particularly near the Pleasant Avenue end of Westcora, have expressed concern about all-day commuter parking that is taking place there, and had requested that we enact some parking restrictions that would keep all-day commuter parking from happening on that end of Westcora Avenue. There is plenty of precedent for those kinds of restrictions. We have them on many of the residential streets that are near the downtown that would otherwise be potentially attractive to all-day parkers who could park and then walk to the train station. So since then, we've had input from various residents in that neighborhood, some in favor of this and some opposed to it. And we agreed to all of us take a look at that site in the interim and then come back to discuss it again. And we welcome any input that anybody else might wish to make. We've received a couple of emails on this subject. Anybody who wants to call in is welcome to call at 769-1677. Anybody here wish to speak on this subject?
Well,
Come on up.
I really didn't come to speak. I was just coming to find out the results.
If you'd let us know your name and address.
I'm Ed Principe, 28 West Cora Avenue. I've lived there 33 years. I've seen this problem grow and grow. It seems that these commuters that come are spreading the word because it's an easy park, it's an easy area to park. It's certainly easy. I commuted for a long time down to the city. It's a wonderful walk on a nice day. And it's spreading. Now, the kinds of problems we have with this are really, I'll say, fourfold. First is we do not get proper cleaning of the street with the cars there. When they come during the day, they can't clean in that area. Number two, when the leaves are picked up, it becomes a big problem again. They have to work around it. Number three is snow removal. Now we're starting to get more into the safety issue because when they don't renew the snow properly, the cars get there at 6 in the morning. I know because I'm up at 6 in the morning. They're parking there at 6 in the morning, so once they're parked there, you can't continue to clear the street. We all know that. So it ices up after that, and then it's there for a while if it's a cold winter. And the last one of safety is they come in late to go to work, and they tear into the street. They're making broken U-turns, sometimes on people's lawns, not all the way on the lawn, but on the edge enough to disrupt the lawn. They're pulling into people's driveways, but they're doing it at a relatively high speed. I've gone out on a number of occasions and confronted some of these people simply because of the way they're driving. I said, you know, it's one thing you're using our street, but at least respect us. And that's why I'm here today, is to tell you that they're not respecting us. They don't care about West Cora Avenue. And I don't know what the right answer is on how to stop it. Seems that the only way is to put restricting signs up. Now, the last part I want to make, and then I'm going to sit down and let somebody else say, so much of the street already has signs on it. You've seen it if you went there. Spring has signs. Roselle has signs. It's only West Cora. And even the West Cora on the side of the park has signs. So I don't really see what the issue is of just continuing that. If you have to protect the park, then put it a different hour so that people can rotate back and forth. But if you're doing it early enough, again, I've lived there 33 years, people don't get there that early in the morning, except on weekends, and these signs don't apply on the weekends. If you're talking about up the street, there is a problem there. So let's resolve that problem too. Either you put signs up there or wait and see if these people really are going to go that far up. But to stop it from being repaired in our area, and that we have to live with it growing, which it's doing, and with the reckless driving that these people are doing. And honestly, I know that some come from Yorktown, a lot of them come from Briarcliff. They're not taxpayers. So again, that's where I'm coming from.
How many are there, would you say?
Right now, it's grown to about 9 or 10.
And do
Okay.
they park mostly up, when I was there, I saw
Down near
4
Pleasantville
cars
Road.
up by Pleasantville Road.
They always
on-
try to get near Pleasantville Road.
Right,
That's the easiest
on the
commute.
side of the park, that side of the street. That's where I saw
Well,
it.
where the
Where the
condominium
condo.
is, where the condo is,
Right.
on that side, yeah.
Okay.
No, they
Okay.
do that. I admit that. They do
No,
that.
that doesn't make it right.
No.
I just want to make sure that I saw.
That's where I
what
saw the
was-
cars too. I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that too, to make
Yeah.
sure.
And it depends on the day of the week, holiday times. It's like everything else.
And what time do they, you saying they arrive at 6? There's nobody that really arrives like after 8, say?
I would say
Isn't
as
it
late
just-
as 9.
as
9
late
is
as
about
9?
the last, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you get that window, even 8 to 9 would do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it goes back to parking again. And I don't see how that is too upsetting for anybody.
And they're not parking down toward, what is that street? The other
Spring?
Spring?
Well, there's signs on there.
Yeah, but they're on West Cora,
They're on West Cora.
but they're not parking
In front of the park.
in front of the park.
No.
I didn't see that.
No.
So it's mostly, so the odds of them moving down to the cul-de-sac at the bottom of West Cora there.
You mean up the hill and
Yeah.
where it narrows?
Yeah.
It's a
That
remote
would make a
possibility,
big
but
difference in your walk, I would say.
I would.
Very.
It would. But, you know, I mean, I had neighbors that lived up there and walked with me to the train station,
Right.
so
Well, that would
it is
make sense,
doable.
yeah. I mean-
Again, if the problem spreads to that portion, then shouldn't we solve it the same way? I
Right.
don't see why it
Right,
can't be
we'd have to
done.
jump on it.
Now,
Yeah.
the proposed restriction is from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday to Friday,
Right.
on both sides of West Cora from Pleasantville to Spring. Does that seem like the answer from your standpoint?
You're just doing it from,
Pleasantville Road.
What's
Well,
up, what was posted for the public hearing was to say no parking on either side of West Cora from 10 to 11 a.m. between Pleasantville Road and Spring Street. And the issue there is, as we have done some other places, is just to choose an hour in the workday that would keep people from parking there.
I think it would solve the problem.
I mean, we have some other.
Is there a better way of doing it?
Yeah.
I don't think you need to go that late in the day based on what I told you, because I've
Yeah.
seen the people that come. If you do it somehow 8 to 9,
Yeah.
it would solve the problem
It's like a
equally
two-block.
well. Going up to Spring, again, is not going to satisfy if it spreads up the cul-de-sac, but why don't we wait and see if it does?
Right.
You know, but again, I'm not going to tell you how to
Yeah.
do that. I'm just
Well-
saying, yes, it would solve the problem we're talking about today if you did that.
Right, and the reason, I think, obviously, we could choose any hour, but that going from 8 to 9 means that someone who, in the non-winter times when they can park on the street, you know, goes to work at 9 or something, has their car parked on the street, would have to rush out at 8 and move it. 10 to 11 is sort of less of a concern there, and I might also add that You know, these restrictions in many cases are restrictions that we are in a position to enforce when there's a problem, but with limited enforcement resources may not be aggressively enforcing it if there isn't a problem. So it's kind of a lever
But
that we
if
can.
someone
Yeah, but
calls,
those 9 cars
if
are in
someone
front of
calls,
3
You're-
before
you're
the
responsible.
they have to write the
houses.
tickets, so.
Right.
Right.
Right,
So-
and I think that if you put these signs up, I can't help but believe it's going to solve most of the problem. If somebody comes
Yeah.
I
once,
think twice about it.
I
before
don't
go
really
there.
think that people are going to, but if they start to see it build up again, then yeah, we'll be calling.
You'll be
There's no
calling.
doubt
Yeah,
about
although
it.
I would say, I mean, I think our
Yeah.
experience there are quite a few streets with similar kinds of restrictions, and our experience, I think, has been that it's worked pretty well. So,
Like Pleasant Avenue had that problem also.
Are you Pleasantville Road or, because Pleasantville Road has the signs, Pleasant Avenue also has the signs.
Right, has the signs and it stopped.
And the only place I'll tell you that could be a potential
tell us.
problem is Choate. Not Choate, I'm sorry, not Choate, well, that's further up.
That's a good long
Mountain
walk.
Road,
Yeah.
the part of Mountain Road that belongs to the village.
Village, yeah.
Okay? It's a difficult street to park on normally, but I wouldn't put it past them to
Right,
try
to
that. So
try
that's the
that.
only thing I'll just
Right,
tell you
right.
as a precaution, because that's easy, they just flip over to the other
So
side.
when you go out and talk to him now too, you can tell him to come get a parking pass.
I don't want to talk to them anymore.
Except for the ones that live in Yorktown.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay?
I thank you for your
very much.
comments.
Thank you.
Then I won't read your comments in the email.
No, please
You've
don't.
essentially said them.
I didn't know the public hearing was going on.
Okay. We had another email from Diane Ciano, who writes that she's writing to express concerns regarding the parking restrictions the village is looking into on West Gora. I'm a resident on the street and do not feel it's necessary to post restrictions. There are about 5 or 6 cars that park on the end of West Gora closest to Pleasantville Road during the week. They do not pose any safety issues, nor do they impact any residential parking. There are more pressing issues regarding the parking situation in the village, mostly in and around town. I'm concerned that any changes may affect parking on the entire street, which may pose a problem for all residents. Thanks for your time. I hope the matter can be resolved quickly. I don't.
Where does she live? What's her
She didn't
address?
say. Did not say what her.
Well, she lives
street
down,
address.
don't the Chianos live down near the end of the cul-de-sac?
I'm not certain.
Thought so.
So we have this matter on the list of resolutions tonight, number 231, and unless anybody thinks otherwise, I'm thinking we've heard enough at this point to decide how we feel about it. So it's fairly early in the process of the resolutions, and so you won't have to wait too terribly long. So, is there any further comment on the matter of the West Gora parking? Anybody want to call in? Anybody have anything to say? With that being said, is there a
You
motion?
know, I just say one thing, that I live on Romer, where a number of years ago, a restriction was placed across from my house that you couldn't park at the school drop-off time, nor could you park on the school pickup time. I was opposed to that at that point, and in fact came to a village board meeting and expressed my opposition to that, thinking that it would be a failed policy and people would ignore it. Well, as a matter of fact, that's the part of Romer that's open all day long. People can come. There's active parking going on. I mean, that parking that actually turns over. And I've come to think, in fact, it didn't take long for me to think that it was a good thing for that to happen on that little part of Romer, that in fact it benefited the school bus turning, which is why they originally did it, but it also benefited sort of the coming and going of people on Romer. I didn't think that would be the case, but in fact that was the case. So I'm sort of sympathetic for giving something like this a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then we can undo it. But if we, from my point of view, I think if we can go towards trying to solve problems like this, it's a good thing.
All right, so we'll have an opportunity for everybody to comment when we call for that resolution. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, public hearing is closed. All right, so we can go to the resolutions. Mindy, number 228.
Okay. Resolved that the pre-track register dated December 14th, 2009, covering check numbers 65087 through 65256 has been reviewed, and they are hereby approved as listed below. The general fund, $183,875. $1,000,000.11. Miscellaneous revenue fund, $690. Water fund, $89,187.85. Capital fund, $13,646.16. Refuge fund, $13,930.10. Trust and agency fund, $3,104.40, totaling $304,433.62.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Jonathan.
The board, resolved, the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meeting held on Monday, November 23rd, 2009, and they're hereby approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Brian.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the following small claims assessment refunds and authorizes the village treasurer to issue the applicable refunds. The address 49 Academy Street, the original assessment 47,450, the reduced assessment 40,000, the assessment reduction of 7,450, refund applied to 2010 taxes. On 124 Ashland Avenue, with an original assessment of $51,200, the reduced assessment $43,600 for a reduction of $7,600, and that refund was applied to 2010 taxes. At 4141 Pierce Drive, the original assessment $94,600, the reduced assessment $88,700 for a reduction of $5,900. A refund of $445.47. On 74 Leland Avenue, the original assessment of $34,250 would go to $30,900 with a reduction of $3,350, and that refund would be applied to 2010 taxes. And 17 Country Club Lane, the original assessment $59,800 going down to $54,400. The reduction of $5,400, and that refund would be applied to 2010 taxes.
Is there a second?
Second?
One thing to note is that, as Brian read that off, the assessment reduction is the reduction in the assessment. It's not the amount of the refund.
Right.
And in the one case, the refund was identified as $445.47. In the other four cases, the refunds applied to the 2010 taxes, and it wasn't identified what the refund was, Patty.
No, because it's a reduced assessment going forward, and we don't know what the tax rate
Right.
would be,
Right.
but they're all
Well,
under, they're all under $800.
Small
Right.
claims.
Yeah, in terms of
They're-
dollars.
Yep.
There's-
I just wanted people to realize they're relatively
Yeah.
modest. That is, we're not talking about someone's taxes being reduced by $7,450. Hopefully
No.
their village taxes aren't $7,450 to begin with. So the other point I want,
It's a semi-annual thing.
speak for yourself, Trustee Cunningham. The other point I wanted to make is that our assessor, Jim Timmings, indicated that there were 9 cases filed in the small claims assessment review. That is the second phase of review after the local review, and 5 of the 9 received reductions. So there were 4 cases filed, some of which were withdrawn, and in other cases, the appeal was rejected by the hearing officer. Is there, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Mindy.
Here you go, Mr. Principe. This is resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves a local law amending Chapter 173, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 173-63, Schedule 15, Parking Prohibited Certain Hours / West Square Avenue as follows. Section 1, amending Chapter 173, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 173-63. I already did that. Add West Square Avenue, both sides, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Monday through Friday, from Pleasantville Road to Spring Street. Section 2, severability. If any clause, sentence, paragraph, word, section, or part of this local law shall be adjudged by any court of competent jurisdiction to be unconstitutional, illegal, or invalid, such judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate
the remainder thereof, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, word, section, or part thereof directly involved in the controversy in which said judgment shall have been rendered. Section 3, effective date, the local law shall take effect immediately upon filing in the office of the Secretary of State of New York in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Home Rule Law.
Second.
He was going to say second in the middle of it. So.
Oh, okay.
All right. Perhaps each of us should comment on our views on this.
I'm a yay. I think it's necessary. I think if there's a problem further down the street, we'll address it, and we'll take care of that too. But I think that this is a problem that has been going on for a while, and we need to find some way to start to manage it. So I think this is the right way to start it.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I agree. Look, the reality is this is affecting the neighborhood, so, I mean, I think I'm in favor of doing anything we can to help the neighborhood feel more like a neighborhood. And if it migrates down the road, then, as Trustee Berard said, we'll deal with that, and go from there.
How soon would this happen, Patty? then?
Immediately. Did you?
We have to get a notice from Albany that they've received the local law. What happens now is it goes to our attorney to sign, right, Judy? And then those documents are sent to the Secretary of State, and we get a notice within 30 days, typically, that they've received it and filed it.
Obviously,
so.
Trustee Scarstead didn't listen to me when I was reading the.
The separate building costs. No, I'm talking about the real world.
No, that's a legitimate question, because after
Talking
this
about the
process,
real
there's an
world.
administrative process we can't control, but it's usually 30 to 60 days
And-
we'll get
and-
a notice.
The other question I had on this, and I'm in favor of this, as I said earlier, but the other concern I always have is sign placement.
Mhm.
And, I trust that we'll be, in doing this, we'll be sensitive in location of these signs so they don't go in front of somebody's
That's a very good point. That's a very
front
good
lawn,
point. Yeah.
front sidewalk.
Yes.
Let's be careful about that.
Okay.
Well, I'm in favor of it as well. I'm mindful of the concerns of some of those who have commented against it, and as others have already said, we'll keep an eye on it and see whether it turns out that the problem migrates further down the street, and if so, then we'll have to take some action about that. But I know well the problems of neighborhoods that have to deal with parking for various other reasons, both in my first house in Pleasantville and to a lesser extent my current house, and I think it's appropriate for us to try to keep Pleasantville streets as available as they can for the people who are paying taxes to live there. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Jonathan, 232.
Yes. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby engages the services of Charles A. Manganaro Consulting Engineers for professional engineer services with respect to the replacement of the stone masonry wall on Bedford Road as per the term set forth in the proposal dated December 4th, 2009.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, you want to describe this? This is for the benefit of those watching the
Yeah.
section of the stone wall at Foxwood, or adjacent to Foxwood. It's on our property.
It's on the village's property. It collapsed a little while back, and we removed a certain portion of that wall. And both Trustee Lopez and Steve Johnson have been working with professional engineers the past several weeks to come up with a plan to reconstruct the wall in a manner that would make it look more aesthetically appealing again, and also in a manner that is economical, given the cost of reconstruction of a 5 to 6 foot wall. And this is a scope of services prepared by a professional engineering firm called Charles A. Manganaro to assist the village in putting together bid documents to reconstruct that portion of the wall that had been leaning and had been removed. And approximately 225 feet of wall will be replaced. And we're talking about lowering the height of the wall and capping it with a certain finished fence.
And as a courtesy, has the board of Foxwood been apprised of
I don't
all of
know.
this?
I think trustee Lopez has been in touch with some members of their board, but I don't know if they're aware that this is on tonight. But
And
certainly
and
they've
will they
asked to-
have input on the fence itself? Because I know in the contract, it lists a tubular fence. I don't, aesthetically, I don't know what that means or what it looks like. Is that, obviously, that isn't decided yet. This is just the engineering part of it, but if indeed we can get them involved in that.
Yeah, what are we voting on here? To spend $4,000 for the engineering, or to
Right.
spend money on the back end of his estimate of what it's gonna cost to do this?
We're voting on the $4,975.
To do the bid specifications
To do the
for
bid
the project.
specifications. But I do think that there's a discussion that needs to be had
Yeah.
about what we do. We've had the beginning of that conversation.
Well, that's been priced on this,
Well, this is
as
their-
if we know what we're gonna do.
Right.
Well, that was what I was
Well,
concerned about.
no,
But that was based on the discussion
We had
Steve
this
Lopez
several
had
months ago.
with
Right,
Steve
right.
Johnson. For the benefit of those watching, let me just read a little section of this proposal from Charles Manganaro. Stone wall approximately 225 feet long abuts the western property line of the Foxwood Tennis Court. It's a random rebel masonry wall approximately 18 inches thick. The wall is approximately 100 years old, with 188 feet of the wall 5 feet in high and the remaining 37 feet 3 feet high. About 72 feet of the 5-foot high wall collapsed, and that's the section that if you walk by there now has rubble at the bottom and a chain link fence above it. And then another 55 feet of the wall is leaning towards the sidewalk on Bedford Road. So the issue we confront is we have a problematic condition in the area where it collapsed, and we have another 55 feet that is leaning and is going to collapse at some point. So we clearly have to do something. There's a substantial grade change there, and there needs to be some sort of a fence there. So what has been proposed here is that the bottom part of the old wall be left in place, and then a 5-foot high commercial grade tubular steel fence be installed in place of the removed wall, and that would be rails and pickets in a traditional format, and I'm sure we'd have an opportunity to take a look at that when we begin. But the bottom line here is that there's a big piece of the wall that fell down already and another piece that's about to fall down, so we have to do something.
Well, I think that kind of a fence, I know wish Steve were here to tell us, but is probably not unlike what's around the Girl Scout building, for example. If you, those of you go by, that's a tubular kind of fence that looks like it looks like a wrought iron fence, and it's not gonna look like a nice big 5 or 6 foot rock wall, which is obviously what it would be nice if it could look like,
Yeah.
but we can't afford that now or any time in the near
Right,
future.
it's just too much
We
money.
have safety issues that we have to think about, and so this is the next best thing.
So the goal was to try to create a fence that felt in keeping with the neighborhood, to maintain what piece of the stone wall was still valid, because it is a historic wall that matches the wall that's alongside Foxwood. So my take on it is I would be happy to approve the Manganaro contract with the request that when Steve is back with us, we can convene possibly with whoever it is from Manganaro about exactly what the design would be, so that everybody's clear on it before we run off and actually do it.
Yeah, 'cause I don't think that design of the fence is included in this. This is just the bidding. There's no price next to
Design
it.
services.
Design, yeah, the design of putting the fence up, not
I think it is
the.
I
included.
think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
The fees for design, bidding, office and field services associated with the removal of the collapsed and leaning stone wall and the installation of a commercial grade
I don't
picket fence.
consider the design, I think, of placing it and putting, connecting it with the rest, with what's there. That's how I was interpreting it, not the actual design of the fence.
Well, I think
Because
there will be a
on
spec
the-
for it. So.
Yeah, on the back, though, they don't have it, they have everything
Well, I think
priced
you're
out
right,
except
Mindy.
for that.
I think that's, if you go down those specs,
It's
basically
priced.
it's dealing with
Isn't it number 4B?
install a new 5-foot high imperial C-type steel fence
No,
with
that's the
sleeves.
footing. If
No.
4 is the actual
No, that might
fence.
be.
4B
No,
is
I think that's right.
the steel fence.
C-type steel fence with
Yeah, I think
sleeves.
that's right.
128 linear feet estimated in this estimate, and this is just a rough estimate, of $11,000.
Yeah.
At the risk of sounding naive about these things,
What does that?
this is a fence, right? We're talking about, I mean, we're gonna spend $5,000 to engineer a fence?
It's
Do we
not
need
just
to do that? We don't have
No,
expertise
it's-
within the
it's-
village?
It's a leaning stone wall.
It's
Well,
a-
okay,
the
great,
wall.
so one good sledge and I can engineer the falling of the wall. Do we need, I mean, I don't know, do we need, we don't have expertise to put the fence up in the village? We need to spend $5,000 to have a guy teach us how to bid this services out? I don't know, I mean,
Well, the fact of the
it's not like
matter
it's
is,
a retaining wall, it's a fence.
Well,
it's
the
a
problem
wall
is
that
it's
has to
an
be
ex-
stabilized, and it's a project
Well,
that has to be bid, so we have to
The
have a
part
bid
that's fallen
spec.
down is already stable.
It isn't.
Yes, it's
rubber.
3 feet tall. Well, you gotta get clear out the rubber, but
Yeah.
the part that's still standing in the ground is stable now. Put a little cement over it, it'll be fine. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But it just seems like a lot of money
I know.
to spend to engineer a fence,
I know, but.
of which 25% of it is to teach us how to bid for it.
Yeah, this is preparing the bid specs as well. I mean, we have to go out to bid, so we do need a full set of specs. And you will have, liability if you don't spec out a
You
project.
have
that-
liability for everything. I'm just
Well,
saying
no,
that
Well, I mean,
if we don't have, I'm just asking if we just had the expertise to knock down the wall, clean up the rubble, put in the steel sleeves and erect the fence ourselves. Do we need to spend $5,000 to engineer a fence?
It's a little more complicated than that because it's
Okay.
on a foundation.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I mean, it's a 100-year-old wall that has to be cut down because it's leaning and then stabilized. And, I mean, really, I think what the frustration you have, and I think we all share it, is that if this fence were on our property, we'd call someone we knew or a number of people we don't know, and we'd develop a level of comfort with the person we thought could do a great job, and we'd say, go do it.
Who would be bonded and
Right.
insured and, able to do
Unfortunately-
this stuff for us?
This project triggers a required public bid, and so in order to have a required public bid, it can't just be the kind of conversation we would have on our own property. It has to be a noticed bid and a bid spec.
No, but I mean, and to Jonathan's point, if you look at the budget for the project, demolish and remove the existing stone wall to sidewalk grade level, we may be able to do that. The other item, that's $5,000 here. Apply new
In
topsoil
the
and seed.
$5,000 in the probable construction cost.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, maybe, I'll talk to Steve Johnson, because he has not seen this since, he's been away, but the last item, new topsoil and seed, $1,500, we certainly can do that.
Yeah.
We don't have to bid
What,
that.
So-
when does it get
So to bring the
triggered?
project budget down.
Patty, when does it get triggered? At what point financially?
Public bids for construction are now up to $30,000.
Because,
higher, actually.
because,
kept it
so,
in the
so the
30s
question
and then
is, if we
we have to
take
bid
out,
it.
if we take out the $5,000 for
We still have to get
Campsie,
proposals, but we don't,
we do? We still need proposals? Well, we can still get that.
yeah, I mean, you're
it's
gonna
good.
want that.
But I mean, to Jonathan's
but
point,
they're
if we take out the
professional fencing
$49.75 for the engineering fee, if we demolish and remove the existing stone wall on our own, for example, that's $5,000 out, and if we say, thanks, but we'll put the new topsoil and seed the disturbed area, now we're down to, below the level of where we might need to do the $49.75. I mean, and maybe we do need to do that, maybe there's some serious engineering here, but one wonders.
Well, how about this? I mean, if you read the detail, there's quite a bit involved here, including new stone piers at the ends where we've taken down the wall. That is, we're taking down the section of wall that's in trouble and then have to stabilize the remaining part that isn't. So, given all these considerations, since Steve Lopez was the guy who had
Right.
actually has some personal professional expertise in this regard, maybe we should table this matter until Steve is with us. And
let's not get
Revisit.
into that.
Because this is
Yeah.
just for, if I'm reading this right, where you're pulling all these numbers off of is the probable construction costs.
Yes.
This is merely for the $4,975, which includes the design service, bidding service, office services during construction, and field services. Yes, we could probably lower that, but all those other things are in the probable cost of construction, which are not included in this, what we're approving.
Right, that's right.
So,
correct.
this is a totally separate thing. So if you don't want to approve this and you want to wait till Steve, it's just merely dealing with design, bidding,
Correct.
and field
Well,
services.
and
We're not
further-
talking about construction costs.
This was circulated by email, and Steve commented that it was consistent with his expectations. That said, let's wait. There's no absolute urgency to this. Let's wait till Steve is back with us, and then we can talk about some of these if-then statements that we've been talking about. So
Great.
let's table it.
Okay?
Okay. Brian.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves a 3.3% salary increase for the following management confidential employees effective June 1st, 2009. Superintendent of Public Works Steve Johnson, Building Inspector Mike Testa, Village Clerk Judith Weintraub, is that how you pronounce it? No, I'm just kidding. Director of Senior Services Virginia Pancotti, Superintendent of Recreation Linda Bellafato, Village Treasurer Mary Schwartz, Deputy Treasurer Pam Hoffman, Court Clerk Stephanie Tim Austin.
Management
Is there-
confidential
is-
employees.
Is there a second?
It's not so confidential.
Second.
This is the result of our ongoing discussion with our management employees and also the conclusion of our contract negotiations with PBA. Our non-uniformed employees represented by CSEA, that is not our management, but the rank and file employees are operating under an existing contract. And we've arrived at the conclusion that this is the logical thing to do at this moment, recognizing that our options may be more limited going forward in the futures. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Mindy.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby authorizes the mayor to sign the employment agreement with the village administrator as per the terms set forth in the agreement dated December 14th, 2009.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments?
Quick.
I make the comment that it's an agreement I'm happy to sign.
Exactly.
And, not that there was question about it, but welcome back, Matt.
Yes. I just clicked my heels.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Jonathan.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby accepts the donations for the Clinton Street Center for Senior Programs in the amount of $255 from Madeline Carney, Mr. and Mrs. David Murden, Joanne Kramer, Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Feldman, Philomena Cohen, and the Board of Directors of Ledge Rock Gardens, and an anonymous donor.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thanks to all of these parties, our senior programs continue to attract donations from generous residents, and we very much appreciate it, and can assure you, as you already know, that the money goes to an extremely good program. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Brian.
My favorite thing, budget amendments. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendments to fund over budget accounts from PBA retroactively. Amount of $592 from contingency going to police administration holiday pay. Then we'll take $772 from contingency to police detective overtime for a total of $1,364. Then we'll appropriate general fund balance to cover certiorari judgments. That would be $2,240 from judgments contract services.
Is there a second?
Or two
Second.
judgments contract services.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Mindy.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendment to increase CHIPS revenue and expense for the street resurfacing project of the amount of $76,725.58 to the street resurfacing budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, you want to describe the CHIPS program?
Sure, it's just an acronym for the Capital Highway Improvement Fund that the state of New York provides to localities for maintaining roads. And this is a reimbursement. We have to expend money on public roads in order to get money from the state through the CHIPS program.
Darn, I
So
thought
they have a
Eric
data
Estrada was going to come in.
I'm sorry?
I thought Eric Estrada was coming in.
CHIPS, yes, no, Capital Highway Improvement Program.
Patty, have they
Judy's
paid
the
us?
only one.
They
That's
have,
what
we got
I'm
the
talking
check
about.
today, so
All right.
Mary wants to record it today. I know, I couldn't
Cash
believe
it.
we have the money, I know.
Chips.
I don't care about recording it, just cash it.
And we spent it, so, you know, it's cleaning up a big hole in our budget, so
Jesus.
the money came
If
in
this laid
today.
out, the legislature may be voiding that
Your
check.
village treasurer said, please put it on tonight so I can deposit the money, and
There we go.
we know why. So we have it.
All in favor?
Aye.
As long as we're talking about resurfacing, I've noticed, Patty, that the road in front of the high school is suffering. Have you noticed, has anybody else noticed that?
Yes, I mean, the construction vehicles.
Right, there's a lot of,
Taken account.
and there's, for
It's
good
taken
reason,
account.
or for a reason. But is that gonna be, I mean, I guess that'll make it through the winter because the asphalt plants are closed now, is that?
Well, we can patch with the cold patch, you know, it'll hold, but when everybody's out of there and everything is all said and done, we'll come through with a microsurface or something.
Although what's going to happen is that when the two wings that are being built now are finished, the work then moves to the back of the school, and there will continue to be,
Yeah. mean,
I
it'll
assume,
be-
fairly
So-
heavy construction
Well,
traffic, so.
We'll
I mean,
paste it
it's-
together in the meantime, I guess.
There's some pretty dramatic bumps on that road
Okay.
these days, and it's probably something that people can navigate now, but come spring, it's gonna be.
Is it being
rough.
managed well?
What?
The traffic going through there and the,
From everything I can see, it's working just great, probably better than ever.
right.
You will, you know, that's Steve
Is
to
part
take
of
a
the
look at it.
construction to repair the roads?
No.
Or is that the village is gonna take
Of course.
the financial responsibility for that, not the enterprise actually damaging the road?
I think we're responsible for the roads, right?
Well, yes,
They're
I mean, I
responsible
asked
for
about
covering
this-
every green area with
I
the
don't
building.
know what,
so-
you know, I don't know what discussion
About
took
Ashland
place.
Avenue too, when
Right.
they were running the big trucks down Ashland, down to the back part there as well.
I mean, if the roads have a weight limit on them, which I don't believe they do, then we just have to deal with the abuse.
I do believe that the school project includes new sidewalks along Clinton Street. But it's an interesting thing, and I know the school has itself noticed it, that in some respects, the closing of the circle for the construction has made traffic better.
Right.
So I don't know what their thinking will be going forward, but it has removed at least one piece of conflict at that corner by Romer, so. And a couple of things I just wanted to let people know about as we are coming close to the end of the year. Maybe in an early meeting in January, we'll talk a little bit about what's happened in the past year and what we envision for the next year. But one of the things that we have on for executive session tonight is a further discussion of the Verizon contract. That has been an ongoing and tortured process. We are now in possession of a contract from them. I am sorry to report that we returned it with quite a number of comments on it, including many that were clarifications as opposed to matters that appeared to benefit one party or the other, and their response has been less than satisfactory. So that's a discussion we'll have tonight. We'll have to decide where we stand, but we do have in our possession a contract, and now the question will be, will they actually file it so that we can have a public hearing and allow the community to weigh in on the subject? But the other point I wanted to make is that there are also, in a time when lots of businesses have been rather careful about their investments, some pretty positive things going on in the village, and one of them is in right on Wheeler Avenue. The building Brian is in, 42 Wheeler Avenue, is now under new ownership, and many of you have probably noticed that the outside was steam cleaned, and there is now a construction bridge around it. They've replaced the windows. They're making remarkable improvements to the interior and substantial improvements to the infrastructure. So
Well, the electrical system of the building, which I think was from the era of Thomas Edison. It was just, it was just, let's just face it, flat out dangerous. If you looked at it, and it was the estimate of let's just say some knowledgeable people, it's amazing that building just didn't burn down. And that's
Well, thank God it
that's all been replaced. They've completely rewired the building, the plumbing,
Wow.
the furnace.
Excellent.
They built in common areas all kinds of woodwork in the halls. And the owner of the building asked if the high school art department could put some art up. If you could, they could even treat the
Oh, that's
hallways
wonderful.
as
Very nice.
a gallery, as a downtown gallery. So this is a guy that's really looking after Pleasantville, doing the right thing, and once the scaffolding comes down, you'll see some of the results. So it's
Great.
terrific.
So that's a very happy thing, and I actually reached out to the owner and thanked him for what he's doing. It's not only a great thing in a building that needed some tender, loving care, but an
You tell them
improvement.
about any other buildings that are for sale
An
in Pleasantville?
improvement that goes beyond what we expected. Another thing I wanted to report, and forgive me if I miss any activity. I'd be more than happy to mention it if somebody brings it to my attention. 25 Wheeler, the building that formerly housed Jackson and Wheeler Restaurant, has been sold to a new owner, and that new owner is coming to the village shortly, I gather, with renovation plans for the restaurant and plans to open a new Asian fusion restaurant, similar to Asian Temptation, which he also owns in White Plains, and I think Okinawa in Ossining. It's a family that owns 8 or 9 different restaurants and has great plans for that site. So within a short period of time, maybe even as soon as a matter of weeks, you'll see construction activity going on at 25 Wheeler, and then the now vacant space that was formerly Jackson and Wheeler Restaurant will be brought back to life. So that's a very happy development. And then the other thing that I think we may have mentioned at one point in the past is that the owner of Lucy's Lounge at the corner of Bedford Road and Wheeler Avenue has, I think now almost finished, perhaps has finished his process of going through the zoning board and planning commission for an addition that he proposes to put on the back of his building in that little L-shaped piece of our with our parking lot wrapping around it, and that'll be a 2-story addition that I gather includes a restaurant and party space, so that Lucy's Lounge will now have a place to get a bite to eat as well. So there's all kinds of progress going on and some interesting things to report brewing down on Marble Avenue. The MLA site, as you have seen, has a for sale sign in front of it, and at last report was generating quite a bit of interest, and the broker and the current owner, Stop and Shop, were cautiously optimistic that a sale might be consummated sometime in the spring. So if the economy continues to brighten a little bit, it seems like Pleasantville's leading the way. So we'll take credit for it. So thanks to all of those people who are involved in investing in our village. It is critically important that we maintain and build the commercial district a little bit, because those are property owners that contribute mightily to the tax burden, and we very much appreciate their commitment to the village of Pleasantville. So this is our last meeting before Christmas. We'll be back with a work session on Monday the 21st, but our next regular meeting is not until December 28th, so we wish happy holidays to all parties, and we'll have an opportunity on the 28th to wish everybody a happy new year. Thank you all for watching. Anybody have any closing thoughts?
I won't be here the 28th, so I wish you a happy new year right now.
Hey, right back at you.
Hey, baby.
You go, guy.
There you go.
All right, happy new year to all. We'll have one more chance at it. Thanks all for watching. Look forward to seeing you on December 28th. Thanks.